All right, we're broadcasting. What's up, everybody? Thanks for coming and hanging out with us on the call. We obviously got a few of you who are going to be coming in. Whoops. Did you guys hear that?
No.
Okay, good. All right, that was in my headphones. So I was live on YouTube and I heard it, so I thought everybody was hearing some feedback. But anyway, so what's up? We're excited to have you all on the call. We've got a friend called, well, he's called Nick, but his name is Nick Cotter. He's from Pennsylvania. I can't remember the city, but he's out of Pennsylvania. He's a great guy. I got to speak on the phone with him yesterday for probably about 30, 45 minutes. But then I had to call it short because the stuff he was sharing was so darn good. And I wanted everybody in Cheddar to hear it so darn bad that, see, that's my Southern twang right there. Darn, right? I think I'm funny. I'm really not, and I know that. So you don't have to make fun of me in the comments below. But anyway, so I got my friend Nick Cotter, my brother Taylor, who you all should know fairly well at this point. He's our YouTube sensation on the OA Cheddar YouTube channel, and we're gonna hang out with you all. So Taylor's got a little nugget to drop of kind of like something we're gonna be doing in this video that we want you all to be paying attention to, because we have a gift for those of you who stick around and watch the whole thing. So Taylor, what's up? What we got going on?
All right, guys. So last time we did Cheddar TV episode 1, we dropped a bonus list to all of those who were listening or watched the recording. And we're going to do the same on this episode as well. So if you, at some point throughout this broadcast, I'm going to interrupt and I'm going to let you know what the secret code word is. And what we'd like you to do is we would like you to, if you're not already, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd like you to watch one video from beginning to end and then comment and like that video. And once you do that, if you private message me through Facebook, the code word and a screenshot of your comment on the video, I will go ahead and I will send you a link to an exclusive bonus list of Cheddar leads. This comes from our Cheddar 3 list that we are currently working on. It's in beta right now. These are leads that no one else has seen. They're just freshly pulled today, so they're all current. So some point throughout this broadcast, I'm going to drop the keyword, and then what you do, like, subscribe, comment one of the videos, watch them from beginning to end, private message me through Facebook, and I will send you the list right away. So that is that's the little gift that we got going on through here. So watch, pay attention, and you will you'll get that code word later on.
Sweet. So the code word is a secret. Do not share it with your friends. If somebody says, "Hey, did you watch the video? What's the code word?" You tell them, take a hike, bro. Go watch the video on YouTube. Go like, comment like everybody else, and you can get the free lead. So let me do a little bit better of an introduction for Nick, and then what we're gonna do on this call, you guys, is I'm gonna let Nick kind of talk about his story. I'm gonna ask him a couple questions. I'm still learning how to interview, so bear with me. And I'm gonna ask him a few questions. He's gonna talk about his business, and then we're gonna go through all of the questions that you all asked over the last week. If you're in our OA Cheddar Facebook group, which you can find if you're watching this video and you're not in the group. You can find that video or our Facebook group by just searching inside of Facebook, OA Cheddar Online Arbitrage. It'll come right up. You'll be able to tell it's pretty easy. It's got a big old cheese symbol on it. And join our Facebook group. And like I said, I was in that Facebook group about a week ago, dropped a post, said, "Hey, what do you guys need to know? What are your questions? What are you struggling with?" And you all came in, dropped a bunch of questions. Of course, Ralph Cochran dropped about 15 of them for our so thanks for that, Ralph. If you're watching this or you watch the recording. So we got a bunch of questions that we're going to basically rapid fire after the interview with Nick. Nick's going to help us answer those questions because, you guys, he is an OA master, right? He started in January. Actually, he found out about, well, let me do a little backstory, and then Nick can pick it up from there. So Nick, at first, was 11 years working for the railroad. By the way, my dad has worked for the railroad. Taylor, what, like 28 years now?
Oh, 25 plus.
Yeah. Okay, 25 plus, a different group, but still the railroad. Nick got tired of getting kicked around and forced to work 80 hours plus a week. And he said, "Screw you guys, I'm going to go make my own," right? And so he started flipping cars. and started making some money here or there. And then he started thinking, you know what? There's got to be a better way. I bet you I can make some money online. So in about November of 2017, so less than a year ago, he was doing some research and he found some of our marketing material on YouTube or whatever, and started researching and digging into this whole selling on Amazon stuff. And Nick is a self-declared info junkie. He told me this. So if there's a lesson or a secret to success, I think it's that he is addicted to learning, right? He loves the process. And I will tell from listening, I'll tell you from listening to Nick and talking to him a little bit, that's one of the things that I think stands out the most is any type of adversity, any type of trial he came up against, he blew through it, right? Punched right through it and punched fear in the face. If you guys remember that from the 2016 Seller Summit, he punched fear in the face and he did it. And now he's selling well over $20,000 a month, making a very healthy profit, reinvesting and scaling his store. And he's doing that with, nonetheless, OA Cheddar. Yeah. So he's subscribed now to OA Cheddar 55. He's subscribed to OA Cheddar Dose. And about 90% of his sales come from, I think about roughly 90% of his sales come from that list. The other 10% come from RA. By the way, all right, we don't want to leave his wife out, Ashley, who has the same name as my wife. She's also been a pinnacle part of the results that they've created. They've worked together as a team. I think I don't want to get into it too much, but let's let Nick pick it up from there. So Nick, would you just pick up where I left off, talk about kind of where, how this all started and what kind of got you to where you are today, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, like you said, worked for the railroad for 11 years. After the first 5-6 years, the party was over and it was just a regular job. And then the hours started picking up and the time off started to go down. And I'd been wanting to do something on my own for a long time. I was always messing with something on the side, whether it was cars or I was always searching for the next biggest idea. I think the best piece of advice that I got from you, from all the videos that I've watched, is that you never quit. And I think that's the only answer for people looking for the big secret to try to find success is you just never quit. You're going to find things that don't work. You find things that maybe work a little bit, but they get hard, and then a lot of people will give up. But my wife and I just jumped on this train, and we're trying to take the longest ride possible. We found a couple YouTube videos in November. I started watching them. I didn't even know it at the time, but I found out that Amazon doesn't accept new sellers in the fourth quarter. I guess they only want experienced sellers with the giant increase in business that they have. So I just spent November and December and around the holidays studying and watching videos and just consuming as much information as I could about it. And a couple weeks after the holidays, when everything finally settled down, we made an RA trip and went to a couple local stores and, totally clueless, wandered around Walmart with our phones and scanned a bunch of stuff and didn't really know what we were looking for, but we found a few things that we could make a profit in. And we sold every one of them, by the way. Some of them took a little bit of time to get rid of, but eventually we did sell all of them. And the rest is history. We haven't really had a day without a sale since then. Our first sale was on the 24th, and last month was our biggest month yet. We did just under 23,000 for the entire month, and couldn't do it without the Cheddar list for sure. I mean, not only does it provide us with all the leads that we need, but there's other, leads are kind of contagious. When you find one, there's usually a reason that it's there, and there's a lot of other things that go along with it. And if you're just willing to look and kind of nose around in the right places, you can find a lot of other opportunities. So we're definitely taking advantage of it. And I don't really even feel like we've cracked the surface yet. That's for sure. We have a long way to go. Hopefully we can come up with a bigger budget, and who knows, the sky's the limit.
When did you make the transition from, you started out with RA, I imagine, like you said, you came up against a bunch of products you couldn't sell. That's everybody's kryptonite when they're starting a new store on Amazon as of late. So first of all, what did you do to kind of get around the whole restrictions issue? Did you have to get ungated? Did you start calling wholesale companies? What in the world did you do to be able to sell everything that you can sell today?
So basically, the easiest answer is we just scanned everything. That was the first thing that we did. We took a lot of smaller margins in the beginning. My opinion was the more sales we made, the better our account looked. the longer the time went. I was fully believing that it was going to pay off for us at some point. I had no idea how long it was going to take, but I just kept telling myself that the more sales we make, the better we're going to look to Amazon. And I have no idea what the trigger is to open the doors, but we're going to do everything we can to figure out how to do it. So the first couple months, we just scanned in the stores, a little bit of stuff online before we found out about the lists. And then a couple months into it, we paid an ungating service to open up the grocery category. We felt like there was, low priced items in there that would hopefully stretch our budget a little bit further. And, we did pretty good with that, just with grocery and a couple other little categories that we found a few good items in. We were able to get up to about $8,000 a month in our second month. And then, right after we subscribed to the Cheddar list is when I really it really became clear how much opportunity was out there that we were missing out on, because I would check go through the list every day. And of the 10 that were on there, I was restricted on 6, sometimes 8 of them. And I just knew that if I was ever going to take advantage of it, that I was going to have to do something. So we also paid to get ungated in topicals, which was kind of expensive, but it was worth every penny, because we wouldn't be where we're at now without having access to all the different categories that are on that list.
Okay, so I want to talk to you about ungating, but you mentioned something about taking very low margin on product just to get your sales volume up. Okay, and you reminded me, I remember this conversation. I'm probably not the only one you talked to about it, but I remember you reaching out a while back and saying, does it make sense to take low margin to get my sales volume up? And I was like, actually, that's a darn good idea, right? And I'm like, go for it. It's the first time I ever heard somebody say, well, what about close, how close to break even should I go? So that's the question. Like, you got your sales volume up by just taking the low margin, selling what you could sell. How low were you willing to go in terms of return on investment or net profit in order to get your volume up in your store?
Well, it wasn't necessarily a low ROI. It was mostly just 100% of $1.50 is still only $1.50. So that's the kind of stuff that we were looking at. If I could spend $1.50 and I can make a 100% return on that, yeah, it was a small margin, and it was a lot of work to process that many units to try to do that. But like I said, I think it paid off for us big time, because our account's really only 9 months old, 10 months old, and I feel like we've opened up a huge amount of doors, and it's not a hindrance at this point. I mean, there's still a few things that we've been able to find that we can't sell. For us, for some reason, it's toys, where I haven't been able to get ungated in any of the major toy brands. But other than that, I haven't tried Nike or anything like that. But for the most part, everything that we've found in the last couple months, I try to get approved, and so far it's working out.
Did I understand you correctly that your second month you sold 8K?
Yes.
Wow. Was that like grocery? Because you did mention that you got ungated in grocery right out of the gate, or as soon as you could, and I think that cost you about $300, right? $300 to get ungated in grocery. Was that a big part of how you were able to get your volume up?
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. I don't think we would have been able to do it without it. And the same thing, I looked at it as an investment. It was $300. Even taking $2 margins on each item, you got to sell a lot of items to make that back up, and that's assuming everything works out the way you planned, which we all know that's not always the case. But that was our mentality. We were just going to find as many items as we could that like I said, we stretch our budget, try to buy more items with less money, and I wasn't concerned about the profit in the beginning. I mean, I wanted to be making money, but I knew I wasn't going to have to take anything out of it right away. So all I was concerned about was trying to build up our account as fast as possible. And that was just from hours and hours of reading on Facebook and different forums and stuff that I was able to find. I don't think anybody knows the absolute answer is, if you do this, this, and this, you'll be ungated in 6 months. I don't think anybody knows what the actual equation is. I think it's different for everybody. So that, just based on what I was able to find from other people, that was the plan that we came up with, and I think it worked out.
Awesome. Hey guys, if you're watching live or watching the recording, especially if you're watching live, actually, if you have questions for Nick while we're going through this little bit of an interview, definitely drop that inside of the YouTube comments below, and Taylor's fielding those questions. He's getting them ready. So anything you want to ask Nick at all, right? Other than his social security number, right? And stuff like that. Drop it in there. And if Nick's comfortable answering, he will answer that. Excuse me. What did you find to be like the most challenging hurdle? I mean, and maybe in terms of like shipping and stuff, because I know that's a thing where people kind of get hung up a lot, is just figuring out a process that will work and that's efficient and effective. And sometimes when I tell people how much product Charles ships out on a day-to-day, which it's roughly about $12,000 a week that he ships out in buy cost that he ships out a week. So like, what kind of process do you have for your shipping, and how do you, how did you, because you mentioned that on the call yesterday that you found a way to make it pretty efficient. And
yeah, we're trying to refine that every single time we work on it. In the beginning, it was just helter skelter. It was carry a bunch of bags in our basement, throw them all on the floor, and sit down and try to figure out where it was supposed to go and what labels were supposed to be put on it. I mean, we didn't even have the basics. We didn't have a fancy printer. I used a crappy inkjet printer that we had from just the small amount of stuff that we used before. We didn't have Dymo printers. We didn't have anything fancy. We don't have a barcode scanner. We don't have a fancy setup for our boxes or anything like that. We just brought everything on the floor and sat down. And actually, that was kind of our process up until about the last 2 months. The more things pick up, the faster you realize that this isn't really going to work doing it this way if you want to try to increase how much you're selling. So we cleared out a room in our basement. It was a spare bedroom, and we set it all up in here. We're just trying to systematize everything, make it simple. We spent a lot of time guessing. Do we need to bag this item? Does this one need an expiration date? We try to systematize everything, and the further we go, the easier it gets. So pretty much it's just like an assembly line now. When my wife and I start working on it, I handle I input everything in the inventory lab, and now we do have a Dymo printer, which if you don't have one, get one. They're worth every penny. I can't believe how many items I prepped using 30 up labels and a laser printer. It is insane doing it that way. Don't do it that way. Just pay $80 and get a label printer. It's worth it. But yeah, I put everything in inventory lab, and it spits out the labels. And if it needs bagged or prepped in any way, she handles that. I kind of just slide it down the table to her, and she preps it, throw it off to the side, and on to the next one. We're just trying to keep it simple and not turn it into something that's more difficult than it needs to be.
so you mentioned inventory lab and systems, right? And we kind of, inside of our group, Gabe and myself, in fact, Gabe's really the one that introduced me to the whole concept of systems and how important it is, right, to being efficient and accomplishing everything. So tell me a little bit about your systems and processes, and also maybe focus a little bit on the softwares that you're using in your business right now.
Yeah, we don't really use anything spectacular. We use inventory lab. That handles all of our inventory lab. We don't have a whole lot to say about that. It's pretty simple. You take a UPC number, you input it into the system, and you pick your price and tell them how many you have and where you bought it, and they take care of the rest. Again, if you're doing any kind of significant sales, even a couple $100s a month, I think you're crazy not to have it. I started out in the beginning trying to keep track of a lot of stuff on spreadsheets, and it gets away from you so fast that it's crazy to even try to do it that way. But that's one of those things that you don't really know until you get wrapped up in it, and you have boxes surrounding you at every corner and stuff waiting to be shipped out, and you're trying to figure out what to do with it. So we use inventory lab to take care of our inventory. We use Be Cool as our repricer. I think I have a little more aggressive repricing strategy than most people do. I'm trying to focus on cash flow, so we drop our minimum prices a little bit lower. I think a lot of other people probably are willing to go, but to me, I've learned some valuable lessons flipping cars, and I can't make any money on inventory that's just sitting in a warehouse somewhere. So I'm going to do what I have to do to get rid of it. I mean, I'm not talking about if it's not sold in a week, it has to be moved. I definitely give it a fair amount of time to go through the process. I mean, sometimes prices change by the minute, so you just never know what it's going to look like by the time your inventory hits the warehouse and it actually becomes available. I don't really have a lot of experience with what other people go through shipping to Amazon. It seems like ours gets sent to the same 3 warehouses, and sometimes it's available right away, and other times it's like 2 weeks until it's actually available for sale. So we try to get stuff sent out as fast as we possibly can. But that's kind of we don't really have spectacular systems in place at this point, but it's definitely headed in the right direction. And like I said, I'm just trying to keep it as simple as I possibly can. I think making it difficult, if you try to get too fancy with it, you're going to make it a lot more difficult than it really needs to be. And I just don't think that's necessary.
Cool. So go ahead, Taylor.
One moment, Nick. We actually do have a question from Penny Fieldler. I hope I said that right. Can you tell us who you use for your ungating, or what the ungating service was called?
I'm not sure if she actually has an official name. Her name's Ashley Hopkins. She was recommended to me from someone else in our Facebook group. She's been great. Both times that we used her. She's easy to get a hold of. She's very responsive. I think her prices, I looked around a good bit, looked at some of the other companies that were doing it, and I would highly recommend dealing with her. I don't see any reason to go with anybody else. The prices kind of stay the same between, there's like 3 of them that I could find that were legitimate, and the prices were all pretty similar between all 3 of them.
I think something I would suggest, I think this is a good question for the Cheddar community as a whole. So if you are interested in ungating and would like to, hire someone to help you with that, I think it's a great question to drop into the Cheddar group if you're willing to post it. I'm talking to those of you that are watching. Ask the group, and I'm sure that not only is Ashley Hopkins an option, but there are several others, as Nick had said. So we can get some testimonies from other people who have used different people. But I will second Ashley Hopkins. I've heard nothing but good things and success stories from her service. I think the way her name is spelled, Ashley, is a little different than traditional spelling. So you may, again, ask that question. We could probably drop her Facebook profile in the comments of that thread. So you can look her up. The other thing you can do, like Nick said, is Google is like a really awesome tool that we all have access to. It has every answer to every question you could think of. So you can go into Google and search Amazon FBA category ungating service. And I promise you're going to come up with at least 2 pages of results from services that provide ungating for Amazon sellers, category ungating. What about brand ungating? You've mentioned that a little bit, but maybe talk a little bit more about the difference between category, because you were able to open yourself up into topicals, but did that mean you were able to sell every topical, or did it still take time for other brands to become available to you?
Yeah, it definitely took a little bit of time. And that was one of the things I was concerned about in the beginning. And Ashley did a great job explaining it to me. I didn't want to pay what it was going to cost. It was $9.99 to get ungated in topicals. So I didn't want to pay to get ungated in a category and then find out that 80% of the brands inside that category were restricted anyway, and I wasn't going to be able to do anything with it. But usually it's just, so far in my experience, the biggest brands that are gated in categories like that, it's a lot of stuff that Amazon's already selling anyway. And it really didn't affect us at all. I mean, as soon as we were able to start selling topicals, we had a huge increase in our sales, and it was just, it just made it so much easier to find inventory because there's so many things that we could buy. There was some things that we've come across, and for the first month or so after we got ungated, I would apply for a few brands that we didn't get. But now, at this point, just about everything that I apply for, we get ungated in instantly. We get auto ungated, and like I said, I don't know what the formula is. It tells me based on our performance history is what it says whenever you get approved when you get auto approved. So I'm sticking to that. I'm saying that our plan was put in place to make this happen, and it worked out.
That's awesome. Tell me, what are your total sales? Again, your first sale was January 24th of 2018, right? Guys, take note of that. January 24th, 2018, dude selling over 20 grand a month, making, I'm going to let him say if he wants to or let you guys ask, but a really healthy profit margin, okay? In fact, what I will say is our stores are very similar in terms of margin, profit, ROI. It's just a different volume that we're doing in our business compared to what Nick's doing. But in terms of performance, dude, like fire. And so tell me a little bit about that, right? Tell me a little bit about how much have you sold so far in totality, and when did you start to notice? What's the timeline? Like, when did you get ungated in topicals? When did you get ungated in grocery outlet, or excuse me, not grocery outlet, but grocery category? there's a nugget if you guys are doing some RA in the Northwest. So when did you get ungated in grocery? When did you get ungated in topicals? And when did you really, like, what kind of the timeline and where were you at in sales for like lifetime sales when you started to really see the gates start to come down on the brands?
Yeah, so first sale was January 24th of this year. We made a few sales in the last week of January, and then in February we did over $2,000. And March, in between February and March is when we got ungated in groceries, and we did $8,000 in sales in March. And then April we did about the same thing. We did about 8,000 in sales, and then beginning of May is when we started the process to get ungated in topicals, and it actually took a couple weeks to do it, but we were still able to grow a little bit. We got up to like $12,000 in April and May. And then once we got ungated in topicals, it was pretty much just a straight shot from 12 to 20. We just kind of jumped all over it. And that also went with the Cheddar list as well. You know, that was topicals allowed me to be able to buy more than 2 or 3 leads off of each list, which made a huge difference. I'm trying to think how long after that. Yeah, I mean, we just went straight to 20,000 from in May, and our yearly sales so far and lifetime sales at this point are just over 80,000, and we'll be over 100,000 in the next couple weeks. And we're working on a plan to go much higher than that, because we're not even taking full advantage of the Cheddar list yet. Even where we're at today, I still am not. I don't have the budget to buy every lead that works for me 5 days a week for the entire month. I still don't have the budget to do that. So that's our next plan. I don't see any reason. I mean, this is as easy as it gets. You know, I pay a subscription, and the leads are sent to my inbox every day. I spend a couple hours and go through them. I don't know what else you could ask for. There's no easier way to do it.
Cool. Well, I really want to dig into kind of what you're doing as far as your repricing strategy, your sales velocity, how you're leveraging Cheddar, what your processes are. So I got a few questions. We'll kind of get into that stuff. The first question I have for you is, what is your sales velocity? What's your turnover? Like, how much of your product or of your store are you selling every 30 days?
And we're maintaining 100% sell through, and that's almost been the same from the very beginning. Sometimes it's higher. I don't remember seeing a time when it was below 100%. I constantly catch myself looking at it and thinking, man, how did I fall behind already? You know, it's Amazon's a hungry machine, and it feels like I'm always trying to send more inventory just to stay on top, just to maintain where we're at now. You know, when you throw growing into it and trying to get bigger, it takes a lot of inventory.
Okay, that's awesome, dude. Like 100% sale through. Not everybody can do that. And in fact, from my experience coaching and mentoring, I found that the highest performance level, in fact, I don't think I've seen somebody, and this isn't to brag, but I haven't seen somebody outperform our sale through, except for like one time their store was a little bit smaller and they were like 120%. And I was like, wow, you're just crushing through stuff. But sometimes I can see our store hitting the 100, 110%, right? And we haven't been able to exceed that. Sometimes it drops a little bit below 100 and stuff like that. But anyway, that to me is like a very high performing store, very fast sell through rate. I think 50% is like a good average, just so everybody on the call, if they don't understand sales velocity, what he's talking about is he has $21,000 worth of sales value in his store, 20, 21, 22, whatever it is, and he's selling 20, 21, 22,000 per month. That doesn't mean that every product in his store on the 1st of the month is being sold by the 30th of the month, because he's always sending more product in, right? You always got to be feeding the beast, right? Like you said, it's a hungry machine, right? Amazon is. So tell me about your repricing strategy. Like when you buy a product, right? And I imagine you send it in. I don't know what you set the prices at. We tend to set our prices up a little bit higher than what it's currently selling at, so that we don't get hit selling something for less than what we could have, right, by the time it gets live. But what's your repricing strategy? Like, you're using Be Cool, obviously. You're using an automated software to compete with the other FBA sellers or the buy box or however you have it set up. How are you setting up like your min and your max prices and stuff like that in order to hit that high velocity of sale through?
Yeah. So first thing, again, $25 a month, repricers, priceless, worth every penny. Can't do it without it because you can't compete against somebody else that's using a repricer. You can literally get on and change your price, and in 15 minutes or less, someone has undercut you by a penny, or two or three of them have undercut you by a penny. And the change that you took 10 minutes out of your day to make is useless. So you have to have a repricer if you're selling any kind of inventory. I set my minimums a little bit lower. I base it off of ROI. I use a percentage, and I'm willing to go pretty low to move it. I'm trying to grow our capital as well, so I'm not moving items at a loss very often. Occasionally, we find a few things that, for whatever reason there is, they're just not selling. I've liquidated a few things below our break-even point just to, in my opinion, it's easier just to have Amazon sell it than it is to have them, for me to pay 50 cents and have them send it back to me and then try to figure out what to do with it from there. If I can get even a reasonable price for it, and I kind of just base it off of, I think you guys have a yard sale every year to get rid of some stale inventory. And for me, if it's comparable to if my cut out of it after Amazon's fees is comparable to what I would have got from a yard sale, I'm just going to let them sell it and move on. When I input the price, I do the same thing. I don't ever use the lowest price ever because, again, the prices change so fast and so often that there could just be one person on there that has 5 units that they just really wanted to move for whatever reason, or there could be someone that has inventory that they've been sitting on for a little while that they want to move, and they've lowered their price to make that happen. And as soon as their units are gone, it's going to go back up $3 or $4 or whatever it is to the next person. And I don't want my minimums at that point. So I try to find and that's really all it is. When you're inputting that number, as soon as that inventory goes live, your repricer is going to take over anyway. So I don't spend a lot of time on that. It's pretty simple. I just try to find a price somewhere in the middle of what the rest of the FBA sellers are going by. That's what I base it off of, is FBA sellers. My maximum prices I don't spend a lot of time on because I very rarely get my max price. I don't have any Q4 experience yet, so I'm hoping that might change during the fourth quarter. But for now, I kind of base it off categories. Grocery items, you can't add $10 to it and expect to sell it. So I set the max price a couple dollars above what I think our price is, and then different categories, topicals, I can set those prices a little bit higher and fully expect to be able to get them if there is no other competition. That's pretty much it. I don't spend a ton of time repricing my inventory as we're doing it. I do spend a lot of time reviewing my inventory, making sure there's not things that I'm not aware of. Again, it's constantly changing. You send something in, a week later you look at it and Amazon's now selling it, so you got to kind of make a decision. Our main objective is sales velocity and cash flow, but I understand a lot about flipping stuff too. So if I feel like there's a good chance that in a couple months I'll still be able to move that inventory for the price that I'm going to get for it, I'll wait. But it's just kind of on a case-by-case basis. And right now, I should probably put a better system in place for that, but it's kind of just in my head at this point.
Hey,
awesome.
Nick, we have a question from Bruce Finn. He wants to know, to get to the point where you're at now, how much of your own capital did you have to, when you're starting off, did you invest, or has this all been from growth?
Well, we started out with a small chunk of cash, and we had access. I have a decent credit rating from working for the railroad for 11 years. It was a good paying job, and I did have some money in the bank. I don't have an exact number. I don't think you could get. You probably can't get 20,000 in sales without at least 15 grand to spend. It's all dependent on what items you're buying. What kind of margins you're looking at. I can't give a definitive answer. I would say you need at least $15,000 to get anywhere close to that. But it doesn't, we did a pretty a risky way of doing it. We didn't. I saw a great opportunity. I felt like I had a really good handle on it. I understood the whole process. You know, I didn't know all the details. I didn't understand all the little pieces and parts that go together to make it all work. But I understood the whole thing as, you know, from the very beginning, and I was willing to take the risk. I mean, we used some cash and we used some credit cards, and that's how we got to the point where we're at now. And we're still using the credit cards. Not sure when we're gonna transfer into, you know, trying to just reinvest and at the same time pay down some debt. I'm focused on growth at this point, so that's our plan.
Awesome. You mentioned taking items at a loss, right? Liquidating, and I want to just say this before I ask you a question. Every store liquidates, right? Every store sells product at a loss. Walmart does, Target does, Marshalls might, right? I don't know. They buy stuff I think relatively cheap, but they do clearance stuff out. So every store does that, right? It's a natural evolution or natural thing about business. So you did mention that you have taken losses at times. What that kind of leads me to is a question about the race to the bottom, right? This is probably one of the biggest, some might say complaints that we get from sellers with a lack of experience. And sometimes it's just a concern, right? There's 55 people on a Cheddar list. And so if 55 people are seeing a lead, you know, maybe half of them or more might buy that from that particular lead. So what do you do when you see the race to the bottom? Like, what's your general rule of thumb for strategy in terms of, you know, waiting and stuff like that? And what have you seen? Kind of what has been your experience too?
Well, yeah, again, it's case by case basis. You know, if it happens right off of the bat, I kind of just push it off to the side and you have to give it a little bit of time. You know, Amazon's a marketplace. That's specifically what it is. It's just like the stock market. If you looked at the stock market every day, if you were invested in it, you would drive yourself nuts because it changes all the time, and Amazon's the same way. So, you know, if it happens right away, I'll just kind of take a step back, push it off to the side. Maybe 2 weeks goes by, I'll take a look at it, see how many people are still on it. If it's going down in offers, you know, that's one of the things I like to see. I'll let it ride if I see that people are slowly getting off of it and have sold through their inventory. You know, if I like to use the how many extension. If I see somebody on the listing that has 300 units and they've cut the price to half of or similar price to what I actually paid for it, I'm probably just gonna bite the bullet and move it and, you know, match their price, just get rid of it. But I think a lot of, you know, when I say I sell stuff at a loss, I'm not talking about losing hundreds of dollars. Our inventory is a wide variety of items, and we don't go deep on very, very many things. So, you know, a lot of times it might just be 5 or 6 items, and if I'm losing $1 on it, I'm only losing $6. So I'm not going to lose any sleep at night thinking that I sold something for $6. And actually, the way that I think of it is, it's not that I lost $6. You know, if I sold each item for $6, then I have $30 or whatever, you know, whatever it comes out to be after Amazon's fees. If I have $15, I have that to put back into my business. And, you know, when we talked on the phone yesterday, I used the example of a truck that I just sold. I sat on the truck for 6 months. I only ended up making $1,000 off of it. And just in the most basic form, had I flipped one vehicle a month in those 6 months and made $500 off of it, I would have tripled the amount of profit that I made off of it. So that was a valuable lesson for me. And that's kind of how I'm approaching my inventory at this point is, you know, if there's no end in sight, it's just time to move on. You're not going to hit a home run every single time. And in fact, it takes a lot of base hits to get to this point, I think. So yeah, that's just what we do. It's just different every time. I wish I could give an easier answer, but it's just, you have to have some patience. That's the best way I can put it. I've had a few items that I thought were never going to sell, and next thing I know, I'm looking at my seller app, and they're all gone. You know, just a couple people sold through their inventory, and the buy box works its way back around, and the next thing you know, you sold your inventory. And I think that's what a healthy Amazon store that has 100% sell-through rate. I think you have to have that variety of inventory. You have to have the constant infusion of new inventory. as well as the wide variety that you've gathered up over the last several months. Because, you know, every store has that. You know, Walmart doesn't just have shelves full of stuff that people walk in and buy hundreds of every day. You know, they might not sell something today, they may sell it tomorrow. That's how retail works. So that's the approach that we're taking.
You know, that's a fantastic answer. And one of the things that I think stood out from your answer is the word patience, right? And I also think that one of the things that stands out, and the reason why you've taken OA from 0 to 20,000 a month, is you didn't complain about it either, right? This is a fact of life, right? It's a fact of business. It's a fact of a marketplace, right? It's a fact of selling physical products, right? Competition comes in. Now, there's two ways that we can look at this, and I'm going to kind of do a Cheddar pitch, right? You can spend $1,000 a month hiring a virtual assistant and paying for software, and that's after you train them, right? Most likely on how to run tactical arbitrage, and that's after you train yourself. Then you train somebody else, and then you got to create accountability systems to make sure that they don't cheat you, because people will, right? People on the other side of the world working from their computer will cheat you, right? And you can pay that kind of money to have somebody maybe find you 2 or 3 leads a day, right? At $1,000 a month or more, right? Or maybe you can do it for $600-700 a month, right? But we're talking a couple leads a day at best. And sometimes we have members of our team that find 0 leads for the day, okay? Because of where they were searching, what they were focusing on. So with that in mind, right, $150, I had somebody, and I'm going to pick on somebody if she's watching, I'm sorry. I'm not going to say her name, but she canceled her subscription. And guys, you got to understand, if you want to cancel your subscription, you're not going to hurt my feelings. I saw something in her. I was like, man, I wish I could coach her up a little bit, because she needs my help, right? She needs a little bit of some honesty, right? And she said, I'm looking at the leads and there's $4 or $5 profits. I'm going to have to sell 25 units of product every month to pay for my $149 subscription. Are you kidding me right now? Like, let me ask you, Nick, how many units of product did you sell last month?
I'm not sure what it is last month. We've moved over 4,000 so far this year.
Right. I think I talked to you. You said in 30 days, it was like 800 units of product.
Yeah, you're probably right. I'm actually on my wife's computer right now, so I don't have all this stuff handy. But
well, I remember. I remember.
About right. About 800 units in the last 30 days. That sounds about right.
And 25 of those units might have paid for your subscription. That's just, you got to think about that, you guys. I'm trying to help everybody see a bigger picture. If you're worried about a $149 subscription, your problem is much bigger than competition. It's much bigger than the fact that there's 55 people on the lead list. It's much bigger than the fact that you have to use credit cards to run your business. It's you. You're the problem, right? And I'm not. You guys, I'm not trying to. Again, I can be a little brazen. If you guys, any of those out there, if you've been coaching with me, or if I've been your mentor, there's been a few times where I have to imagine every individual has experienced a little bit of brazen grain, right? But it frustrates me, not because, again, it's not because I'm thinking, here you have a gift, $149 subscription that could produce $20,000 a month in sales and a significant profit, change your life, and you're complaining. Like, step up, right? Be a business owner, okay? And be an information consumer, right? I think one of the things that stands out about Nick, just listening to you, is you have taken the time to do research. You've dug into Amazon, you've dug into Google, you've dug into the archives, into the top secret Amazon group. You dig in, right? You press in, you study, you practice, you don't complain, you don't make excuses, and you get the job done.
Yeah, right? There's several, Devin in the group, Gary Ray. There's all kinds of information in that group, and it's just a couple clicks away and a few keywords, and all that information is right there in front of you. And that's what I did. When I found the top secret Amazon group, I spent hours and hours and hours watching all the old webinars, and some of them are useless to what Amazon is today, but I wanted to learn and know as much as I possibly could about how it worked and what all the processes were. And, there's probably not a video or a post that you've put in that group that I haven't seen. And it's real simple. You go to the search bar on the left-hand side and you type in Grant Dunn, and it brings up every post that you've ever made and every video that you've ever made. And, you know, if you guys set a great example, so I figured if there was somebody to copy, that it would be a good place to start. And, you know, I think that's how anybody finds success. If you see somebody doing something, you learn how they do it. That's always intrigued me when, you know, that's always the first thing that pops in my head when I meet someone new, and or if I find out that, you know, it's maybe somebody I already knew that I find out later that they have a lot more than I knew about. That's what I want to know. I want to know how they did it. So that's the answers are out there if you're willing to find them. There's no doubt about it.
It's great advice. Couple more questions digging into what you got going on. How many SKUs, if roughly, I know you don't have the right stuff in front of you, but roughly how many active SKUs are you running right now?
I'd say we run 300 to 400 most times. I don't feel like that's a ton. And again, we go wide. We don't go deep. We have a few replenishables, but you know, for the most part, with the Cheddar list, it's just easier to buy the new leads than it is to try to replenish some of the older ones, because things change so fast, and you just never know what's going to happen. So at this point, honestly, I don't have the systems in place to really maintain our replenishables or the budget. So we do have a few that do really well that we stick with, you know, but some of the other ones that that weren't performing the way we wanted them to, or, you know, in the beginning they were selling 5-6 units a month, and we were pretty happy with it. But some of them required a lot of prep. You know, the more prepping you do, I think you kind of get a little bit pickier about the items that you buy. My wife hates Marshall's stickers. I'm sure you've seen a few of those. They are the stickiest stickers in the world. And
is she using Undo?
Oh, we use tons of Undo. Some of them put up quite the fight.
Yeah.
You know, again, we just get through it. You got to dig in and get through them. It literally couldn't be any easier. You know, once you get the sticker off and put your sticker on, you're done. You put it in a box and you don't have to do anything else. I can't think of any easier way that you could possibly sell this amount of stuff.
Awesome. And you are doing all of your own prep and pack, not like you're using a prep center yet or anything like that.
No, everything's in-house. Like I said earlier, we have a small room in our basement. We have a split entry home, and in the beginning it was just all over the floor and wherever we could find space to do it. And we grew out of that process pretty quick. And now we actually just renovated this spare bedroom a couple weeks ago, and we're still putting the finishing touches on it. But yeah, I mean, you don't need something fancy, I don't think. Yeah, I don't know what we'll look into. I don't know if we'll outsource local or if we'll try to find a prep center. Not sure what our next step's going to be when we get to the point where we can outsource that. But you just, if you do it the right way, you're never going to have a ton of inventory. So, you know, the stuff shows up and you prep it and get it right back out the door, and then you don't have boxes and boxes to dig through. And you know, we just take it one step at a time. Every time we do something, I want to improve. That's kind of been what we're working on. If there's one little thing that we can do every time we put an order together, or, you know, every time I'm reviewing the list, if I can learn something new or add another step, or maybe remove a step that speeds up the process, I'm looking to do it every single day.
Awesome.
Hey, real quick, Grant, just need to break in real quick. The secret word, guys, is Cheese Whiz. That is Cheese Whiz. All right.
With a Z. The secret word is Cheese Whiz. Awesome. Okay. So just a reminder, you guys, if you forgot, you need to like and comment a video on the channel. Comment below this one if you're watching live or watching the recording. This video counts, right? This video counts. But if you're watching live, you should go pick another video because we have other ones. And then you can message Taylor, let him know what the secret word is and that you did what we asked. Get free leads out of the deal. So I got a question for you. So 300 plus SKUs, that's a lot, right? That's 300 different items that you have picked off of the list or that you've picked via RA with RA. We run about, it's interesting actually, because, well, yeah, that makes about sense because we're doing about 5 times the volume, a little over 5 times the volume, and we have about 1,100 active SKUs at any given time. And so let me ask you about this, okay? So how deep do you go, right? When you're picking up, you open up your Cheddar list. How deep are you going on any of this stuff? Like, what's kind of like your rule of thumb? How do you decide?
Sorry, I dropped something. We usually go 5 units is pretty much the extent of what we buy. I'm in the process of experimenting with different suppliers that we're finding on there to kind of get a feel for, which websites will let you order a certain amount. So we kind of started at 3. That was our budget dictated that. So we started at 3. We've kind of been inching our way up to 5 or 6. Occasionally there'll be some smaller items on there that are lower priced that in order to get free shipping, you have to buy more. I will buy more if I can save the shipping. If I'm going to spend the money, I want the inventory. I just don't see a point in buying 5 units and paying $7 in shipping when I could buy 7, 8 units and not pay for shipping and end up spending almost the same amount of money and have the potential to make more profit. What was your original question? I got lost.
The question was and you're doing great, by the way, was how deep do you go on any particular lead?
Okay. Yeah, 5 or 6 is the majority of them. I'm not looking to buy 30 of them. Some leads have popped up that have super good ranks and have a really good keep a history chart. So maybe, if there's a purchase limit, I'll buy some today, buy some tomorrow, maybe buy some the next day. Depends, or there's all kinds of different ways you can do it. Maybe have my wife buy some under her name. Yeah, I mean, we just it's all wide. We never really go super deep on anything. Even our replenishables, we're really only running them on a couple weeks at a time, and that all goes back to things just change super fast, and I don't want to get stuck with my hand in the cookie jar. So, to me, it seems like the best way to do it is to try to go as wide as possible, and the more SKUs we have, the better off I think we are. So that's our process right now.
Nick, I have a question for you. So you're talking about how when you're making purchases, you try to stick to a 5 limit, but if it's a difference between getting free shipping and not getting free shipping, do you track and do you keep a list of all your buys that you've had previously, by the source? And so say like you're on a website where you need to spend $50 to get your free shipping, and you're only spending about 25. Do you ever go back to that list and pull out some of those old leads that are probably still good and kind of combine that with your purchase to achieve that? Or
yes, I started about 6 weeks ago. I create a Google spreadsheet for every week. It goes along with the Cheddar list, and as I buy, I copy and paste each purchase into the new list. The biggest reason that I did the list was to speed up the pack and prep process. You have 15 or 20 boxes and you're digging through stuff and you're looking at packing slips and trying to figure out what day you bought it on and where it came from. You have items that show up in a completely plain brown box with no markings on them whatsoever, and then you have to try to remember where they came from or who you purchased them from. So I started the spreadsheet specifically for that, to speed up the pack and prep process, but that's kind of evolved into using it for tracking purchases as well, because I keep it simple. Again, I copy right off of the Cheddar list. I add it to my own spreadsheet, and then I have 4 more brackets or 4 more categories that I add onto it in the end. And it also helps me keep track of how much I'm spending on a daily basis. I don't have specific set goals because we're budget limited at this point. So I know how much I can spend, and using the spreadsheet keeps track of it. I can see it right in front of me as I make each purchase, and then and I know in the future that I'll be able to reference all of that as time goes on. I actually got shut down on a purchase today from one of the items on the lead list. I'm not sure if I bought too many, or if I bought too many times. That's something that I started doing recently. Is in the beginning, when I found if there was 3 items from the same supplier, I would put them all together and buy them all at the same time. But then they all show up in the same box, and then I have to sort through all of them and figure out where they go. So I figured out if I just purchase each one separately, they send them to me in 3 different boxes. They do the sorting for me. I don't have to do it. So then I just open up each box. It only has 1 item in it, and I know exactly where it came from and where it goes. And on my spreadsheet, it tells me what my buy cost is, and it just speeds up the whole process.
Can you divulge a little bit more on your strategy, right? So, and we've already kind of, I know we've been picking this apart. So this is probably the last question I ask you in this regard, but I'm kind of curious, like, what is, what are you doing that might be unique or that you don't think everybody else might be doing, if you're willing to share, with the lead list? Like, what are some of the different angles you take at it? How do you approach the list?
I don't have a big secret. I wish I did. Maybe I could get rich off of it, but there really is no secret. It's just basics. The list is, I don't know how it could be any simpler, really, to me. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any, we just keep things basic, I like to review the Keepa charts. I look at past history. I look at what the last month is. I look at the last 3 months. I may even blow it up to the whole time that it's been on there, stretch it out for the year. Just looking to see, what it's been doing. What if there was a price change? Maybe try to figure out what caused that. I look at the sales rank. Again, I don't have any secret sauce or anything like that we use. It's pretty basic stuff. I mean, I don't spend a lot of time making buying decisions. I think our store has already proven that the leads off of that list are more than good enough to put in our store. So I look at it. Those are the basic things that I go by, and if I'm happy with it, I make the purchase and move on to the next one. I don't spend a ton of time on it.
How do you determine sales velocity? It's one of the questions we had.
Well, yeah. See, that's the thing is I don't necessarily try. I'm not looking at it as I want to know exactly how long this is going to take me to sell this. I look at it as this is a profitable item. I want to add it to my store, and I may sell 2 when they first get there, or I may not sell any, or I may sell all of them. I mean, there's all kinds of options. I'm looking at building our inventory for our store. Like I said earlier, you need stuff that sells fast, you need stuff that sells slow, and you kind of need everything that falls in between that. And I think that's what creates a successful store. You were saying earlier about one of your subscribers complaining that she would have to pay or buy a certain amount of units. Even if you're first starting out, and even if you only have $100, you can get on that list, and there's going to be something on there that there's a $10 profit on it, and you can buy 5 of those. And even if it doesn't work out right away, there's a pretty good chance in a week or 2 you're going to be able to do whatever, maybe pull some quarters out of your couch or whatever you have to do, and come up with another $100, and then you buy something else. And I think maybe the issue that you're having is that it's just people want to purchase the item today and they want to sell it tomorrow. And that would be great if we could all do that. We would all be millionaires if it only worked out that way. But unfortunately, that's not quite how the process works, and you got to have a little bit of a longer term view. And I think that's what works for us. Is I have the ability to look at it and say, I know this is going to sell. And again, it doesn't always work out that way, but more often than not, we end up making the right choice, and that's how it works out.
Awesome. We have a question, actually. I'm going to throw this in there. What are Nick's net profit margins, or what is your gross profit margin after Amazon fees?
Yeah, so I can give you the gross profit margins. We're in the mid 20%. I don't have any net numbers yet, just because we're so new. I have a good handle on what our expenses are. We don't have a lot of expenses. We don't buy a lot of shipping materials. When we get tons and tons of boxes, actually removing the boxes has been the issue at this point because we have so many of them. I don't buy, bubble wrap, and occasionally boxes and tape is pretty much as far as it goes, and then labels and stuff like that. That's it. That's all we really have to buy. I buy it in bulk. We stock up on it. So our margins are pretty healthy. I think we're in the mid 20s. I think our net margins will probably fall I'm hoping in the 15% range. We're going to take the minimum out of it possible. My wife still has a full-time job, but I'm going to need to start taking a paycheck from it at some point here soon. And I'm just going to take the bare minimum, and everything that we can throw back into that's what we're going to do, and see how far we can take it.
Cool. So you made about 5,000 profit last month. tracking to do the same this month, maybe a little more. That's pretty awesome. And
Pretty
like you
close.
said, go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, pretty close to that.
Pretty close. Cool. Another friend of ours has asked, why do you suggest using credit cards? I mean, I can answer that question. You use credit cards when you want to buy more inventory than you have cash for. That's the simplest answer I can give you. If you want to scale your store up to 20,000 and you don't want to wait very long to do it, then use a credit card. I don't know what the exact statistics are, but most Americans don't even have $5,000 in their savings account, and I've been one of those people. And so it is what it is, right? Use credit cards, use lending. Everybody who is doing significant volume in their store, by the way, is generally, I shouldn't say everybody, but most everybody is using some form of lending. In fact, I was watching a call the other, maybe a month and a half ago. Dude he does like, I think they did over $1 million in 30 days in the middle of Q4 2017, and they use lending. And they have a team of like 25 people. So it's part of business. And the goal is to eventually be, to pay that debt off with the proceeds from a business. But sometimes the fastest way to make money is to use somebody else's money. And we live in this amazing country called the United States of America, where money isn't that hard to get, other people's money. And you can use it for a hell of a lot less than what you can make off of it. It's pretty phenomenal. So,
yeah, I think the key to that is responsibly use that money.
Yeah, I've done the opposite. So,
and if you are using credit, and if your model is profit only for growth, and you don't want to use debt to expand and to grow quickly, even using credit cards just for the benefits is a big plus. There's a lot of cash back credit cards, or airline miles, or fuel, or whatever. We have a card that we use for our RA and OA buying that gives us free money. And come Q4, that money comes, that's just extra capital for extra products for more growth. So that's another big plus with using credit cards.
Yeah, don't use a debit card to buy Amazon inventory no matter what. Leverage a credit card even if you plan to pay it off every month in full. You get the points and all the extra bennies. Okay, dude, Nick, awesome job, bro. You're killing it, man. And it's a pleasure to be providing a service that's helping you do that. I know that Gabe and myself and Taylor and everybody on the team, that's why we're doing this, right? This is a business. We want to make money. That's definitely important. But more important than that is the people that we're serving, because without you guys and without your success, why are we here, right? We don't deserve your money if you can't be successful, and we don't want it. So if you can't be successful. So we're just proud of you. We really do appreciate it. We know that there's others out there that are killing it as well and scaling their stores up. And we just appreciate all of you who have subscribed. By the way, I want to throw this out there. We have like 1 or 2 seats available on either. Go ahead.
So we actually sold out while we're on the call today. We sold out a Cheddar 55, so that's completely full right now. We are starting a waiting list. Cheddar Dose has 1 seat left open, and then that will be sold out, and we will be on a waiting list for both the Cheddar lists.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you all for doing that, for tapping out the subscription levels. That's pretty fantastic. 1 more, you guys, and then we're sold out on 2 lists. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Okay. Did I burn you out yet, Nick? Are you have you had enough?
I'm good to go.
You feel like a pincushion yet? Awesome. Well, here's the deal. I want to make sure that we at least hit every question, or at least I kind of tried to go through all the questions that you guys put inside of the Facebook thread. And I know we're running a little long. We're over an hour, so we're going to wrap this up very quickly. Let's try to shoot for like 15 more minutes tops. But anyway, I took those questions and I put them together so that we could really just make sure we're hitting what you guys need to hear, right? So if you stuck around, thanks. Hopefully you enjoyed Nick's testimony and what's been going on in his business. We expect to see much bigger things as he continues to scale and grow his store. Because I know that he has a significant profit to reinvest and scale. So that's pretty great. If you would like to be on one of these calls, by the way, and you feel like you're just proud and you're excited and you're grateful for where you're at, like Nick and Taylor and myself, let us know, right? We'd love to bring you out in front of the group and ask you questions, because it's going to help our community. And one thing that I know for a fact, and I heard this and kind of was like, yeah, sure, yeah, but now I know it's true. Right, the more you give, the more you offer to the other people, right, the more you end up receiving. Right, it's kind of this weird thing. It takes a little time for it to build up, but again, you deliver, you try to give yourself to other people, and eventually they all come back, and you end up winning. Right, so be a giver. Let us know if you want to get in front of the group and talk. Okay, questions, Nick, Taylor. I'm going to let you guys try to jump out and answer these questions. If you keep yourself muted, I will answer the question myself. Okay, so mute yourself out, Nick. It's a button in the top left, and that'll let me know that you don't want to take the question. But I'm going to give you guys a chance. If you stare me dead in the face, I'm going to be the one talking. So, all right, first question, and some of this we've already hit with the interview, and that's I strategically asked some questions to Nick that would actually answer these. So we'll just reiterate. We'll rapid fire. Price tanking. Why is it happening, and what should I do?
I can take a little bit of this one. It's going to happen, and the answer is there's nothing you can do about it. You can't stop it from happening. I think I'm numb to it at this point. Again, I think that falls back on flipping cars. I just have some experience with it, and it's a marketplace, and that's prices change, supply changes, demand changes. The markets are constantly evolving. My wife gets very frustrated. She gets attached to her inventory sometimes, and she gets frustrated when the prices tank. But the simplest answer is there's nothing you can do about it. So you make a decision. I'm either going to wait, or I'm going to dump this now and move that money into something else. Those are pretty much your only two options. I highly recommend waiting unless there is a very definitive answer of a reason not to wait. If it's been 3 or 4 months and nothing has changed, like I said earlier, if you find a supplier that has 300 units and they still have 300 units, they keep restocking their inventory, they're not going away anytime soon. So maybe in that case, it's a good idea to just move on. With a list of 55 people, even if only 10 or 15 of them buy, if there's already 5 sellers, it only takes one person with that repricer formula to undercut the buy box by a penny, and then everybody else is going to chase them. But eventually that person's going to go away. They're going to sell their inventory. A lot of OA finds are sale-based. Certain websites are running sales. So it's not like these are items that people are just going to constantly be able to replenish and keep coming back to. They're most likely going to sell their stuff and they're going to move on. So if you can wait it out, wait it out. Those are your two choices.
Great answer. I would add, don't undercut. Don't be the dude that's dropping the price by a penny, because a lot of people have like Nick and myself and Devin Mahdi and everybody that's selling any kind of significant volume and trying to build a real business. They're using an automated repricer, and usually their repricer is set to match the low FBA. Well, if you're the dork that comes in and drops the price by a penny, you're the dork that's taking the market down. Don't do that. You don't need to have the lowest price to make a sale, right? Amazon's going to rotate that buy box between all of the relevant prices within about 5% of the low price FBA wise. Okay. So, and by the way, we're FBA sellers, not merchant fulfilled sellers. We don't need to compete with merchant fulfilled sellers. We compete against other FBA sellers, but don't be the guy that's dropping it by a penny. Everybody's going to follow you, and then you're going to come back in there and drop it by a penny again. And if you have your repricer set up to drop it by a penny and be the lowest offer, or to drop it by a penny to the lowest offer, you're kind of messing things up for us, right? So try not to be that dude, right?
And one thing I'll speak onto this too is, when you do have inventory that does get oversaturated and the price does tank, and you're looking at your competition, with our business model, of course, we try to, if there's money to be made, we're trying to get rid of our inventory and move on to the next product. But if you do find yourself in a situation where you're kind of stuck, normally when you have a price drop like that, the sales rank is going to drop as well. The item's going to start selling much faster, and you may look, you keep an eye on it, but it's going to turn faster. The lower the price of the item, it's going to sell more quickly. offers are going to get off and you're going to be right back into it. So if you can, try to get out of the product and while you're still making some money. If you're tied up into it and you don't want to take a loss, wait and hold on. You're probably going to notice that it's going to pick up in velocity. It's going to sell out more quickly. And then you're going to be able to get your offer in and sell it for your price that much faster. So again, all about patience.
Yep. Yeah. If you want to be the guy that's selling 100% of your store, have an aggressive minimum price that still is profitable. Nick said something about 10% roughly is his minimum. 10% ROI is where he kind of sets his minimum price. I personally will go between $1 and $2 net profit, depending on what it is, which is often sometimes, depending on the item and what I paid for it, can be lower than a 10%. So if it's profitable, okay, unless you really want to wait it out and you believe that something's going to change, which oftentimes it does, it becomes more profitable over time. But in my opinion, if it's profitable, take your money and run, right? There's 10 more leads coming in the next email, right? So, okay, cool. So how many sellers, competition, right? How many sellers, and I would say specifically FBA sellers, right? On a listing is too many sellers.
I would say it's all dependent on the product. There isn't just a straight cut answer of, okay, if there's 10 sellers, don't get on it. It's too competitive. So you need to be looking at both rank and offer count. Actually, if you're looking at your Keepa chart when you're investigating, you should see where there's probably going to be high points when the offers came in. You want to be making sure that the price is still staying consistent or around a profitable range. And if the current offer count, so as an example, if 6 months ago the offer count was 25 different offers on a particular item, and right now it's at 10, and there's still a 100% margin to move around with, in my opinion, that would be a product that it wouldn't be unsafe to go ahead and make a purchase on, because you have that room to move around price wise, but also historically you've seen that the offer count, when it was at a high peak, was still good and the item was still selling and on all that. So, I mean, unless you're just seeing a steady rise in the offer count and there's no history to back that up, as far as, another point where it was high, that would be a place where I would be looking at and being more skeptical about purchasing an item. So it's relative, I guess, to sales rank, offer count, and price history. And when the offer count was at its highest, where was the price? Where was the sales rank at? And is it still selling quickly enough to justify a purchase?
Yeah, I don't really feel like that's a huge issue from items on the Cheddar list, because there's so very few items that have more than 5 FBA sellers that it just doesn't matter. I mean, there have been a few that I've come across that I've actually walked away from because I felt like, for me, it was too many sellers. Everything that Taylor said is pretty much what I go by: sales rank, the price history, what happened when there was a lot of offers on it in the past, if there is that information to look at. It's another one of those things. I just don't spend a ton of time on it. I don't think it's something to get hung up on, because even like we were saying earlier, when the price tanks, when the offers go up and the price goes down, the sales also increase. So all those people are going to go away at some point, and it's pretty likely that you're going to get your shot at the buy box and be able to move your units. And I think that's the most important reason why our strategy is to go wide.
Yeah, I 100% agree. There's oftentimes, when I source RA, even OA, the number of sellers is honestly not a factor I take into an account compared to sales velocity and the return on investment, right? And the net profit. Those are probably the most important numbers. Competition is a factor. But one of the things that Taylor said I think is important to note is, what's the trend, right? Where is the amount of sellers number going? And if you guys don't know this, Keepa has 2 graphs, right? You got to click more data, and it's going to drop a second graph. And if you don't know anything about Keepa, there's videos on the channel, right? Go watch those. Taylor did a full-on Keepa review, explained every single little gadget that thing does, every little setting that it has. So What is the trend? If it's gone from 5 FBA sellers to 35 FBA sellers, or excuse me, not just FBA sellers, but sellers, 5 to 35 in the last 2 weeks, you know, and the product is only, let's say it's only 70 days old, right? It's only been on Amazon for 70 days, then it's probably a trending product that's available in a lot of places. And here's a secret strategy, by the way. One of the things you can look, if you're curious about a question you want to, or a product you want to dig a little deeper, go figure out where else it can be bought, right? If it's being sold at Walmart.com, you know, the question is it being sold at Target and you know, Best Buy and all of these other sources as well? Well, that's going to tell you that there's a lot of inventory available out there. But if you go on and you do that by Google, by the way, Google's beautiful, right? You can click on shopping, search the product and see, right? So if it's only available at Ulta Beauty, you know, then that might give you a little hint that, hey, there's only one, and it's on sale. It's another big kicker, right? Do I want to buy something whether there's a lot of competition or not? But one of the factors is it's on sale and I can use a 20% off coupon. Well, that stuff doesn't exist every day, right? And don't be surprised that you're not the only one that's using that 20% off coupon. I mean, there might be other lists out there that found the product too. Anyway, I'm not going to rant anymore on that, but just consider all the factors. There's a lot more to it than competition, but it's not something that we take into account all the time. How many units should I buy? And Nick, I know your answer, right? Roughly 5, unless you can get a lower price at 8, 9, 10 units or so, right? Here's what. Go ahead, buddy.
I was just agreeing with you.
Here's another answer I would give you. If you need to ask how many units you should buy, you should not be buying more than 3. Okay, that's because you don't know what you're doing yet. Okay, you should as you gain experience and you kind of have a clue of what's going on, you understand sales velocity, you understand competition, you understand ROI, you understand the Keepa history and what the history is telling you. By the way, history likes to repeat itself. That's why the Keepa history is so powerful, because you can look at what's happened in the past and help you determine the future. Okay, we do that in everything in our life, and Keepa helps you do that on Amazon. So if you are asking the question, how many units do I buy? Do not buy more than 3 yet. Okay. As you gain in confidence, as you gain in experience, as you gain in collecting data for your own sales, then you can start to say, you know what, darn, this is a 30,000 rank in beauty. I can probably buy 7, right? Or 5, 7, 8, 10, or something like that. Okay. I would encourage you, oftentimes, try not to go more than 10 unless you are Devin Motti. Okay. And you know what's up.
Shout out to my boy Devin.
Shout out to my boy Devin Motti.
No, like Grant said, and I was just working on a YouTube video today talking about this exact topic. The only area you're going to get in trouble with when it comes to buying inventory is buying too much. You're never going to get in trouble for buying too little. And having that little bit of a sample test will help you understand what you need to buy for the next time. There is no real 100% certainty way of knowing exactly how many items are going to sell within a month and how quickly you're going to move inventory. So when you're buying an item and you buy 2, maybe 3 of them, track when that first item sells, track the time it takes to sell that second item and maybe even that third item. And then from there, take that data and go back in and rebuy that item based off of the new knowledge that you have acquired. Another quick question actually that Bruce Finn is asking us. He said, I've heard that the buy box rotation will happen if you are within 2% of the lowest FBA price. Wants to know what we think. Unless when you guys want to take this one, I'll be happy to answer it. Bruce, when it comes to the buy box, there are multiple different factors. No one really knows the algorithm 100%. Price is definitely a major factor. So being competitive and within that, a 2%, 3% range is probably fair enough. So that's one part of it is your price. Also, a big part of it is your reputation, your seller rating. And also, when you're doing FBA, where your product is physically located can affect the buy box depending on where the buyer is located. So there are a lot of different factors that go into buy box. Being competitively priced is definitely one, but even definitely having a strong seller rating is another big major part of it.
Awesome. Sales velocity is the next one, but I don't want to dig into that a whole lot because I think we hit on it today. Again, if you don't understand sales velocity, you don't have enough experience buying 3 units of something and testing it out, right? If you buy 3 units of a 30,000 rank item and you then witness through your own seller app how quickly it sold, and you feel like it sold quicker than you thought, then you know next time when you see a 30,000 rank item in that category, you can buy more than 3. Okay, that's just again, and there's so many factors to consider, but that's kind of a rough explanation. Okay, next one, and I want to hear Nick's opinion on this. I don't think I asked you yet. Rabbit trails, leads that lead to more leads. How do it? Yeah, so rabbit trails, leads that lead to more leads. How do you do it?
Well, again, simple. Say I find an item that as soon as I pull up the page for the supplier, there's 5 different colors. Well, I'm going to look at every different color, and I'm going to see if there's a listing for it on Amazon. We actually still use the seller app as our main sourcing tool. I use it I scan my computer screen. I've experimented with all the other apps that are out there. We used Profit Bandit. I haven't used Scoutify too much, but I just keep going back to the seller app. It's simple. I don't have to worry about it being wrong, whether or not I can sell something. It has all the information I need. Sometimes it's a little quirky. I have to actually type the ASIN in. I think that's mostly just because I have a crappy computer screen and it can't pick up the image. But you know, any variant of any kind of product that you're looking at, a color, a size, you know, anything you can think of that would make it different. A lot of times you're going to find a certain brand, you know, or maybe you'll see that specific website is having a sale on that brand. So I'm going to go check all the items under that brand that I can find. It's not top secret. I'm always looking for a different lead, and any way I can find items that are going to make some money.
Sweet. Yeah, I think you were mentioning on the phone call yesterday is like you find a lead and then, you know, from the list, you get onto the website and before you know it, you're checking out a $500 order. You're like, whoa, you know, I didn't expect that. So the rabbit trails can provide you with more opportunity. So can another lead list, right? All right. So how to leverage gift cards and stay organized. Nick, have you ever leveraged any gift cards yet? Okay. So I've spent significant amount of money with gift cards, like tens of thousands of dollars. We generally did this with RA, have not executed it really with OA yet. But how to leverage gift cards or how to buy them, the best source that I've found in terms of finding the gift cards and finding the best supplier, because there's like a whole bunch of brokers for gift cards out there. So you can go to giftcardgranny.com. And then search the supplier, right? Maybe it's Ulta Beauty or Walmart.com or whatever. And you can purchase a gift card for, you know, if it's $100 gift card, you could buy it for $95. You could buy it for $90, depending on the store. What I have found that I don't really love about gift cards, and again, I'm not an expert on gift cards, but a lot of the best stores that most common stores, your return on gift cards is very low. Whereas if you're buying gift cards for like RA, Marshalls, Ross, Burlington Coat Factory, a lot of the price off stores, Tuesday mornings and stuff like that, you can get very significantly discounted gift cards. Okay. And so without getting into too much detail, that's the best answer I can give you on gift cards. Oh, have a spreadsheet, right? If you're going to buy gift cards, record everything. Where did I buy it? What was my order number? How much did I pay for the card? What is the card worth, right? What's the store that I bought that card for? What credit card did I use to make that purchase? Everything. And then when you use it, record that right on your sheet. I used, $50 of my $200 gift card today and record that so that to come back and you still have a $150 value on that card. And then you can, highlight the line on your spreadsheet in red or something when you've completed using that card. Sometimes gift cards will fail. Right. Here's another thing. This is why you want to have a reconcile sheet. You buy a gift card, you go to use it and it doesn't work. Right. Then you need to go back to that supplier. By the way, I think they give you like 30 days, maybe 90 days, depending on the supplier, to ask for a refund for a card that doesn't work. You let them know the card didn't work. You get your money back. Okay. All right. Moving on from gift cards. How to deal with suppliers canceling my orders. Nick, what should I do if if a store says, you know what? You tried to buy too many, and I know you're a reseller, and I'm canceling your order and giving your money back. What do you do?
I take my money back and I spend it somewhere else.
Oh,
That's the simplest answer. There's really nothing you can do. I mean, you have two choices. You can go back in and try to do it again and buy less, or you just move on. There's nothing else you can do because you're not going to call them and try to explain. I mean, maybe some people could come up with a good story to explain to them why they needed 15 or 20 of a certain item. To me, it's not worth the time. I may try to go back in and buy less and see if it goes through that way. If it doesn't, I'm just going to move on. There's plenty of leads. And like I said, I don't have the budget to buy every single one of them at this point anyway. So I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on something that didn't work out for whatever reason.
I like that answer. And that's, you guys, that's not to say that we shouldn't have an open conversation about stores inside the group. I really appreciate that, by the way. Those of you who come in and say, look, I tried to order 10, I got my order canceled. Definitely share that with the group. You're going to make us all better buyers that way. Because if you got, if you tried to order 5 and they canceled it, then maybe the ticket is only ordering 2 units, right? Maybe the ticket's only ordering 1 unit. If it's profitable, why wouldn't you just, buy the 1 unit, especially if you're gonna make $5-10 on it. It's like, you just add that to the list, right? Add that to your SKU count.
And keep track of it. If you get shut down from a certain website for whatever reason, keep track of it and don't make the same mistake again. That's how we look at it. We've had a few. We got a little carried away a time or two with some things that sold really fast, and we wanted to get as many as we could and send them in. And we pushed the button one too many times and got shut down. I mean, it's going to happen. If you're buying a lot of inventory, you're going to find some websites that aren't reseller friendly, and they don't want you to resell their stuff. That's just how it is.
Yep. And this is a little black hat, but it's done. I promise you. Open up multiple accounts for the same supplier. Right? Different name, different address if you can, especially different address. So maybe you need a prep center, maybe you need your mom or Uncle Timmy, right? You send your product to him. And you guys can tell that I've been on this call now for 90 minutes with these jokers, and I'm getting a little crazy. No, but you know what? You can open up a couple other accounts, right? If you do get shut down, I would say definitely open up another account, right? If it's a good supplier and you want to keep buying product, why not? What are they going to do? Sue you? Send you to jail? No. So get at it, right? Okay. How do we respond? Yeah. Ooh, what?
Just one last thing on that. I think the simplest answer is, unless you're buying every lead on that list, don't worry about it. It's as simple as that. If there's another lead that you can move on to and buy it, do it. Because if one didn't work out, you're just wasting time over something that's probably not going to change anyway.
Yep. How to respond to customer complaints. I'm going to give my answer on this one because I get customer complaints, right? I just got one today. Customer said they got a backpack. Taylor puked in it and then sold it to him. Well, no, I'm joking. But what happened was they got the backpack. She said she opened it up and it stunk and it had stains inside of it. Do I have any clue what happened? No, right? But what I did, so this is, you be creative. You want to just pour love on your customers on Amazon, because if there's one thing that's going to piss Amazon off more than anything else, is you treating their customers any less than royalty. Okay. That's how Amazon has built their business. That's why they're successful. That's what you need to do. Okay. So don't get mad. Don't get testy. Don't get rude, right? Don't ask stupid questions. Just assume that they're telling you the truth no matter what, right? And here's what you can do. Now, usually if they complain and say, I would like to return my item, it's a simple answer. Here's Amazon's phone number. And this is what I literally say. Hello, valued customer. These are my words. Hello, valued customer. I usually don't know their name, and I'm not going to assume that the name on the order is who I'm talking to, right? Hello, valued customer. I'm starting it off basically saying, you're important to me, okay? Unfortunately, this item was fulfilled by Amazon. Please contact Amazon directly for further assistance. Amazon's customer support, phone number. Thank you, Grant, my store name. That's the name. That's the email right there. That's 90% of the time. That's the email I send them. I send them over to Amazon, because if it's an issue with the order, if it's a return issue, something like that, that's who needs to deal with it. Fulfillment by Amazon does. Okay. You can get Amazon's customer support number. Check this out. It's crazy. Google Amazon customer support phone number. It's right there. You can copy it, paste it inside your email, drop it. You're done. Okay. Super easy. So that's how you deal with the generic things. What did I do with the gal today who said that Taylor puked in her backpack and she didn't like the way it smelled or looked? I said, look, here's the deal. I'll give you, let me know. I gave her 2 options. Here's what I'm gonna do. First, I said, I apologize. I am so sorry that you are dissatisfied with the product that we sent you. Here's what I can do. 1, I can offer you a 50% return. I'm trying to mitigate. I'm trying to minimize my loss, right? I can give you a 50% refund on this product, right? Whether she's telling the truth or not, I don't care, right? I'll give you a 50% refund on this product and we'll call it good, right? And I explained to her she'd get a $21.50 refund, blah, 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 blah. She's happy with that. She's happy with that. Throw it in the washer and be done. Okay. Number two, if you don't want the product anymore, I can send you a prepaid label and we'll return it. To be honest with you, I'm probably gonna do one of two things if she selects option 2. I'm gonna just refund the order in full because I don't want to deal with it. And I don't even want Amazon to know that Taylor puked in a bag that I sold, right? Taylor didn't puke in no bag, but she said it stunk. So I was like, well, that's weird. But new stuff sometimes stinks a little weird. I don't know. But and then so I'll probably just refund it, honestly, because I don't want Amazon to find out that, you know, who knows, maybe a chocolate bar or something like got put in that backpack and it rotted, right? I don't like, who knows, right? We don't open up every single item and look at every single detail in terms of backpacks and stuff. So, but we probably should. So I'll probably refund her, but anyway, those are the options I gave her. And so, you know, you try to look at, okay, how can I minimize my loss, and how can I make this customer feel important? Okay, that's how you do it. Oh, by the way, speaking of complaints, if they complain to you in a seller feedback, you need to try to get it removed every time, no matter what, even if it's your fault. Okay. If it is your fault, figure out what you did wrong, put systems in place, let your team know, make sure it doesn't happen again. Always, no matter what, if it's 3 stars or less, get that sucker removed. Okay. It's not always going to work, but oftentimes it will. You can click on, it's simple, click on help, click on contact us. Another thing opens up, manage customer feedback. You're going to click on that. Another thing's going to open up, you paste in the order ID and you say, I want to request removal of this feedback. You go through the rest of the steps, super simple. Sometimes the feedback is immediately removed, right? Because it's got keywords in it. I had one the other day. It said completely fake or something like that, like a total fake. That's what it said. And I'm like, that's a tough one, right? We'll see what happens. Instantly removed, right? Because I asked, okay?
It's actually easier than.
Say that again?
It's actually easier than that now to have feedback removed.
How do you do that?
Well, I'm sure you monitor your feedback very often. I check it every day. If I see I got a new rating, if you click on it in the homepage of your Seller Central where it has how many ratings you have, click on that, and then it brings up the page that lists all your feedback. If you have a negative one, all the way to the right, next to the order ID, it has a button that says Actions, and you can open that up and you can have it. You can request to have it removed right there, right on that page. I just did it yesterday.
Look at that! You're so smart, Nick. That's
but I had a negative review that had to be taken care of.
I learned something. I love it. I love it. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. Click on Actions and take care of business. Right. 90% of the time we get feedback removed. Nick, have you experienced the same thing?
Yeah, I've had 1 or 2 that didn't go away, but we were able to resolve it doing, you know, through other options. But most of the time, you just hit that button, and even some of them that I thought weren't going to get removed were removed. So I'm almost at the point where if I'm not happy with it, I'm going to try to get it removed, and then I'll deal with it after that and see what happens.
Yeah, and I'll even tell you guys, there's been one time where a review was so scathing, seller feedback was so scathing, and I was like, I do not want this on my account, and Amazon wouldn't remove it. You know what I did? I sent in a support ticket. I opened up another case, and I made a more detailed explanation of why I thought that review should be removed. They said no again, but I really did not want that poor feedback. And guys, I'm 2 reviews away from having 100% seller feedback at our volume for the last 12 months, okay? Because I'm pretty diligent about this. I sent them another ticket on this particular situation, a 3rd ticket, and they got it removed, okay? So if you're annoying enough, right, the squeaky wheel gets the oil or whatever, it can work. So should I solicit customer feedback? My answer is no. Right? Don't bark up a tree that you don't need to, you know, get the feedbacks that you're going to get, but you don't want to give anybody you don't want to encourage anybody to come and give you negative feedback. In my opinion, this isn't the opinion of everybody, but for me, no. Nick, do you solicit feedback?
No, not at all. And I agree with you 100% because I think there's so many people out there that don't truly understand how Amazon's system works,
Right.
and they have no idea who they're leaving a review for. So you know, in an arbitrage business, I don't think it's necessary. Maybe with private label or something like that, then you need to be doing that. But for arbitrage, they're organic. You'll get enough, and I don't really think that you need a ton of them to be successful, because we went a couple months before we got our first one. So,
Yep.
you know, and I only have 40 at this point after 7 months. So, you know, we don't have a ton of them.
Yeah, I think I think we get a review for like every 100 to 200 sales. We get a review for that. We probably get a review every day. And I think we sell, 1 to 2 reviews a day. And I think we sell about 30,000 to 3,500 units a month, to give you guys an idea.
I want to touch on that a little bit because I agree with you, Grant and Nick, about not soliciting for customer feedback. But one of the best ways that you can help yourself with feedback is be a cut above the rest when it comes to your quality of product. When I am out doing retail arbitrage trips or in the online arbitrage, we are very, very picky about the product that we pick, especially when it comes to toys or anything that has a clear plastic window. We don't want to see scratches. We don't want to see big old dents in the corners, or on a box of Legos, we don't want to see the sides squished in. Grant put in my mind a long time ago that the quality of the product that you're purchasing and that you're sending into Amazon needs to be top notch. Because there's a long distance that it's traveling between you to the warehouse to the customer, and you don't need to have any extra stuff on there to give a customer a reason to give you bad feedback. So really be picky about what you're buying and the quality before you send it into Amazon. Make sure that it looks like it's brand new, like it just rolled off of the factory floor. So
here's one of the best analogies that I heard that really changed my thinking on product quality. By the way, Amazon expects your products to be manufactured new. Like, there is even the slightest little shelf wear is really unacceptable. Don't get me wrong. We do push the limits a little bit. Okay. We do, because, we figured out what works. Okay. And how far we can take it, but you do want to be really careful. If it does have a window, you don't want it to have scratches over it. But here's the deal. Imagine your customer is buying a product to give as a gift, and there's going to be a birthday party. And that birthday party is going to have all of their peers, their friends, their family, everybody that's important to them and that they want respect from, right? And the 4-year-old, the 10-year-old, the 30-year-old, the 50-year-old, whoever's birthday it is, opens the gift and it looks like crap. That's embarrassing for that person, right? And you do not want to embarrass your customer. That's how you're going to piss people off. Okay. And especially, and you know how Amazon customers are, they're in a hurry. They're procrastinating, right? So they're buying that gift like 2 days before birthday, right? They're like getting it in the mail. They get off work and they're like, oh my God, the package arrived. Thank God for Amazon. They wrap it up into some paper. But when they get it and they open that box and it looks like junk, they're going to be mad at you, right? Because you just ruined their day, right? So you want to send good product into Amazon. Don't send junky stuff in there, right? Respect these people. All right. How like I'm talking to the kids or something. Not that I think anybody. Yeah, it's just the way I'm making myself think about what I'm saying. How to get ungated. We talked about this. Okay, Ashley, who? Ashley what?
Ashley Hopkins.
Ashley Hopkins. You guys go ahead, and if you're somebody that wants to get ungated and you want to know the best sources for getting ungated in terms of the service, be the one that creates the post inside the group about ungating. And myself, Nick, maybe, even though he doesn't have time for Facebook because he's making money, or other people in the group will have referrals for you. Okay, so use an ungating service when it comes to brands. You're gonna have to do what Nick did. You're gonna have to sell what Amazon's gonna let you sell, build up volume, continue to do it. Don't be a quitter, right? And then eventually experience brand ungating. Okay, that's how it works. I have seen people get automatically ungated in topicals. I've seen people automatically get ungated in grocery and some other categories. So there's been some other things actually. But most people have to get, I think topicals was a unique one. There was a time where everybody was getting kind of ungated in topicals. I think generally you probably do have to hire a service. All right. Any last words after 100 minutes of doing this Cheddar TV episode number 2?
I'm going to touch on two things real quick from the chat. Decord Lopez, if he's still watching. Is it worth buying a product that shows one a month sold according to the Jungle Scout sales estimator? One thing about this Jungle Scout sales estimator that you need to realize, one other than the fact that it's an estimator, it takes that current sales rank that it is at that day and judges its estimated sales. So understanding and knowing how to read the Keeper graph will probably open up a lot more information for you, Cord. And then secondly, do we have a reconcile sheet that we can download? That is a great question. I don't see why we don't. I will put a template together and post that to the group shortly. That way, if anybody who isn't using a reconcile sheet can at least use the template that we use in our FBA business, and then at least as a starting point. So,
by the way, a good thing to throw out there, speaking of reconcile sheet, is that is something we covered in episode number 1. So if you want to go find the first live broadcast that we did, Taylor goes over vetting leads. He goes over a reconcile sheet with all of the data points that we record and everything like that. So, but yeah, I think he can create a template for us too. All right, Nick, thank you for your time, buddy.
You're welcome. I'm tapped out. I have nothing else to give.
Me either. I'm pretty. This might be the goofiest I've ever gotten on one of these calls. So much pressure.
It's just fun. I'm happy to be a part of this. When I first found all this stuff and started watching all these videos, I noticed a common theme, and that was that everybody was smiling. Everybody that was having success on Amazon was smiling, and now I know why. So hopefully more smiles in the future.
Well, it helps that we're all a little crazy too.
Yeah. Crazy to make it work.
I think you do. You have to be one of those crazy fools that just moves with blind faith. These dudes said it's going to work. I'm going to do it even though I don't know how it's going to work. And yeah. And work hard, you guys. This is one of the things that Nick said is, some people they want to, they want 150 to give you $149 a month and they want you to hand them back $2,000. It doesn't work like that. This is hard work. This is a business. This is
I want that too, if I can sign up for it somewhere.
Yeah. Show me where I can do that, and I'm all in. I'll give you like way more than 149 if I can get a 2,000% return on my investment with doing nothing. Right. So yeah. So there's still work in it, you guys. Any last words before we jump off?
If you're doing the whole secret word thing, so I'm getting messages now, which is awesome. Actually, somebody sent me a photo, which is even better. Remember, like, comment, subscribe on the YouTube channel if you are not already subscribing. If you watch the video from beginning to end, that helps us out extremely. So I would greatly appreciate that. But other than that, I will have a list ready and set out to you in the next about 5 to 10 minutes, hopefully. So,
yeah, join our Facebook group. If you're watching this video and you're not in our Facebook group, you can search, I believe it is oacheddar.com/groups. Is it groups or group? Taylor doesn't know either.
What, the group for the OA Cheddar?
oacheddar.com/group. I'm pretty sure is what it is. If not, you guys, the links in the description below. But join our Facebook group. When you join our Facebook group, give us your email address, and we will send you free leads for that too.
Singular.
Right? Singular. oacheddar.com/group. We'll take you to our Facebook group. You can join. You have to request to join. Answer 3 very basic questions. One of them, all you have to do is put in your email address, and then we will send you an invitation to the current week's free leads. Okay, we have a little list of free leads. It's above and beyond what Taylor's talking about on this call, and we just want to bless you guys. If you'd like to join one of our, probably get on one of the waiting lists depending on when you're watching this for one of our lead lists. You can go to oacheddar.com and check the stuff out there. We do have another list called OA Feta that has some room available on it. That is oafeta.com. What else? Subscribe, comment below. Send us some love. We'll send you some love. Peace out, everybody. Much love. Appreciate you.
Love you guys.